Slurpty derp, volume 9678 plus 9 equals 42 minus 1 equals 4. Welcome back to the Parables of Phase Plant, where today I'll be doing a dark monk bass. Leave a comment down below if you think it is as good or worse than the burning piano from the other day. I actually wanted to get this video out slightly earlier, but I was having one of those days where everything was going wrong. Just like didn't have much inspiration or motivation, and the thing was that I had so many things to do, and I managed to still do the things I needed to do. I still went to the gym, I still got my work done, but I just really wasn't feeling it, you know. But I think, yeah, it's something that I learned is like, you know, showing up to make sure you do the things you do, having like the discipline to do the things that you set out to do, even when you don't feel like it. It's just like the most important thing that I've sort of learned, especially with music production, because, you know, you go through droughts and you go through times when you don't really have the motivation, or you're not feeling inspired. And for me, it's been about, you know, just sitting down anyway and just putting in the work, and eventually something actually comes out positive from it, you know. So yeah, it's been a journey to like try and develop a little bit more discipline, but I feel like I'm way more disciplined than I used to be, but like definitely. Anyway, I've got a little timeline here of some upcoming events. I've got a Friday release this week. Then the next Friday we're doing a feedback stream on Patreon. If any of you guys are thinking about joining, it's a nice way to get some feedback on your track in a nice friendly YouTube live stream. And then we also have Zoom Hangouts on there. We'll do that the week after. And then also got an event in Berlin in real life, because much to your surprise probably, I'm actually a human in flesh as well. I'm not just a metaverse android on Zoom and YouTube. So yeah, if you're around, come and say hi and listen to some DNB. Anyway, let's get into today's dark monk bass.
The Parables of Phase Plant.
So it sounds pretty cool to me. I'm going to jump into the voicing first, and then we'll sort of run through the patch together.
Listen.
So I've started off by choosing the tenor choir sample in the sampling section here, and I've turned the level all the way down to 0, and then I've mapped this to an LFO, which is providing sort of main movement to the sound, and this is set to 6/16. If you take a little listen to that, I've got a little bit of white noise added in as well. So obviously, you know, cutting that choir up into, you know, what would be a bit more of a staccato sound, because, you know, it's very sustained to begin with. But anyway, so turn the level down, put that on to get the staccato movement going. And the same with the white noise. And again, what I've done with the white noise is I've put a little filter after the noise to high pass it a little bit here. I've sloped it all the way to the right, so it's sort of brown noise. It's a little bit softer, but we're just using the high end of it. And so that's like the sort of starting point. And next up, I'm going to add in another sine wave underneath, which is the analog sine wave. And I've actually got, I think I've got 2 going on here. So I've got one at -24, one at -12. And they're both, they're being FM'd. So the tenor choir is FMing into my low sine wave first. And it's got a bit of the kind of movement to it through the LFO. So the LFO is controlling the rate of the FM here. So obviously, you know, set your output to the phase to start the FM. Once you've got that on there, use the LFO, set it to the yellow circle to start that movement, so the FM starts moving. And then same thing I've done again, you know, the output from this one will then go into the second sine wave. And this one has a different octave, so it's an octave up. And yeah, again, I'm modulating that amount using the LFO down here. So the FMs are moving, you know, from as we go through our chain here. And we've got a nice growly sound now, sort of a combined natural monk sort of choir sound with our sine wave. And yeah, the important thing is adjusting the levels of these as well, because it makes quite a big difference. You know, you can really sort of start to shape, you know, how you want the bass harmonics to sound. You know, as we're using 2, so I've chosen to sort of prioritize the low one. So I've got a really powerful kind of subby part to it. And then the one that's an octave up, the sort of extra harmonic, is a little bit lower in the mix. So that's pretty nice around there. And I've done a few little tweaks here and there, just to like the harmonic amount and the sort of semi-tone shifting a little bit, but nothing like spectacular. It's just kind of tweaking it to make it a little bit more natural in this case. And then what I've got to sort of, now it's very, very straight still. So to get this kind of automated movement into the sound, I've got another modulation, which is an envelope here. And this has got a ramp up and it's curved. It's a really, really slow one. And I'm setting this slow automated envelope to a lot of parameters, but the main one that we've kind of got going on here is the sort of harmonic section in the tenor choir. So if you listen now, if I exaggerate this for a moment, what it does, it essentially it starts running through these higher sort of pitches, within the sound. So if I put it back to how it was, it's just a small, like kind of almost like a small pitching up kind of effect. So that's sort of increasing the tension throughout the patch. So that's like the main points. And like I said, I've automated a lot of things on this envelope to give like a slow bit of automation. A lot of it's sort of in the effects anyway. But that's like the basis of the kind of voicing of the sound. So let's jump over to the effects.
Effects.
So you can hear it's got a nice sort of low end. There's a nice natural sound to it, but it's lacking quite a lot in the high end. So I'm going to be distorting things a lot and adding some high end. So I've got the first effect here, and everything is running through the lane 1 here. I haven't separated the signal. It's all going through the effects this time. So I've got a bit of modulation on the high, and this is coming up over time on the automation. You can see it creeps up very slowly. See it just creeping up to add in a bit more high end as the sound progresses. Then we've got a bit of ring mod, and this is just on the sine oscillator, and I've tuned the frequency around here to get this nice push in the low end, but I'm mixing it in so it's kind of going with our rhythm. And because I'm doing that, it's not really sounding like it's distorted, it's just adding extra weight. Kind of got a bit lucky with that one because I'm always looking to sort of push the weightiness of the low end. That's the idea. Then a little bit of chorusing. Just kind of widens it a little bit, and then the fold back distortion here. This one sounds really nice, and it really starts to, the saturation glues all of the sound together. So, because it's sort of saturating the sine wave and the low end into the sound, by nature, it kind of like glues it all together. Though it's a little bit sort of over distorted in the low end now, it sounds nice to my ears, and it feels more like a cohesive unit at this point. So I'm loving that. I want a bit more natural. I'm always, me, I'm always about getting more, getting that balance of a natural high end into the sound, even if it's from a synth. So things like convolvers and reverbs are great for that. So I've got a little small control room here. And that just mixes in over time again on the slow envelope. So it kind of weakens the sound over time a little bit in terms of, pushing it a little bit to the back of the room with a bit of extra reverb. So, kind of pushing the sound a little bit further back as it sort of pitches up as well. So two like kind of separate automation sort of ideas all sort of happening at the same time. And yeah, then I've got just a couple more things on my lane 2 here. This is just another little high end boost. This time I've just kind of left it up because I just wanted more high end in the sound still. There's nice harmonics there, but they just need to be a bit louder. And then something really, really nice, which I did here, which I didn't know you could do. Well, I kind of knew you could do, but I didn't really do it until this point, was do a bit of mid-side EQing right at the end, so I don't have to do it separately outside of phase plant. So I've simply gone onto the slice EQ and selected the sides down here, and then we just take out the sides like this. And then we've got a nice controlled low end that's kind of more mono, just in that really, really low area, So that's how the sound is straight out of Faceplant. So let's go over to some post-processing and beef it up even further.
Processing.
So while I really, really love the low end of the sound and the natural kind of flavour of the monk, I still am missing more high end. So a lot of this processing is just getting more out of the sound that's already there, but just kind of boosting up those highs. So I've got the Wings Fire, which I love, and there's a bit of a high end multi-band here. I'm driving it up with the cubic mode here. Just exaggerating those high end harmonics. Then I've got a bit of Rift feedback light for a bit of extra stereo spread, just on the ping pong mode here. Nothing too crazy, just, by ear, adding in some sort of stereo signal. Just sort of in the high end here, because I've sort of high passed it a lot. And then I've got a decapitator, and this is kind of really slamming the sound quite a lot more now, because I've kind of turned the drive up almost to 6. It's on the E mode, which sounds really nice in the high end. I've turned the brightness all the way up, and then I'm just mixing in the whole effect here. So without it, all the way up, a little bit much, so somewhere in the middle. And I still like the decapitator from time to time. I haven't used it in a while, but in this case it just did the job nicely for me. Then I've got a little bit of extra sort of distortion texture from Ruiner, which is the free plugin. And if I just turn this up, it's a really overly distorted kind of signal that I'm adding into the sound, and I'm modulating it on a fast LFO. As you can see, it's going up and down here just by right clicking, turning on the LFO, going over to the modulation, and just playing with the LFO speed here. And yeah, again, I've kind of mixed this signal in a little bit in the background. You hear how we've got that sort of distorted signal that's fluttering, and that's kind of like in the background of the sound now. So it's kind of filling in the space a little bit, of what was kind of missing, and adding almost a new little rhythm, just very, very subtly. But that's really cool, actually. Really cool for filling out the details in the background, that is. And yeah, then just a bit of side chaining here, nothing crazy. That's pretty much the post-processing done. Hope you guys like that preset today. I'm going to leave it again downloadable down below. While I'm sort of just experimenting and practicing with Faceplant, I'm happy to give some of these presets away until I feel like I'm really, really good enough with the synth to charge you for one. I'm just kidding. I like playing around with this synth. Appreciate you guys watching, and yeah, thanks a lot for all your support. Really means a lot to me. And stay tuned for the release of Helpless on Friday/tomorrow. Peace out, my G's. Much love. Don't do anything I wouldn't.
Too great.